on the road 3 weeks in a row. Excited to get back home for homecoming and play a really good Auburn team. And, you know, they start offensively with Bo and Tank, two of the better players at their position in the conference. And Bo sure makes a lot of things happen when it doesn't look like he has a possibility to. And, you know, D-Rob was over at Georgia, very fast wide receiver, have 4 of their 5 offensive linemen back. I really like their team. They're physical, really well coached. Coach Bobo does a great job over there. They're really physical. And defensively, to me, they're back to where Auburn's been, dominating on the D-line with Hall and Fair and Harris and Wooden. I think those guys are really good players. You know, I don't know about Owen Papo, whether he's going to play or not, but he's certainly one of the better Mike backers, even though Chandler Wooten's come in and played really well. And then on the back end, Smoke Mundy's an exceptional player. They're just a really good football team, and we're excited to have a chance to get them in here and play. With that said, you know, we need our fans, and I think we're about 500 tickets remaining for the game. If you look, and Trey, I had a quick glimpse of what you said, and it's 100% correct. You know, there's been 2 games that had specific, in my opinion, with the game, I think the crowd mattered and helped the winning team. I'm not saying either team would have not won without the crowd, but when we went to Georgia, it was 110 decibels over there, and it certainly affected the beginning of the game and throughout the game. And, of course, when we played Texas here, our crowd was as good as any crowd that you could ever hope for. We need that crowd again. We need our students in here early, raising heck early before the game, and you know, I'm just telling you that the football team needs the fans, and we need them to come here and help us win on Saturday. With that said, I'll answer any questions you have.
Yeah, Coach, anything jump out from watching film, specifically on defense, that maybe you guys can identify that you can correct, get them playing like they were earlier in the year?
Well, there will be some corrections, and there'll be some changes and different things of that nature, and what our schematics could be, what, you know, who's playing. Certainly, you know, there was a lot of problems that we have to get fixed. One of them was certainly tackling. We couldn't get Corral on the ground, and our secondary support was poor. And, you know, therefore that's why you saw a lot of big gap runs go to the house. We could not we couldn't get the edge. We let the edge go a lot on defense, and we busted several coverages. And with a guy like Corral, he's going to, I mean, it's 7-on-7 or routes on air to that point. So there's a bunch of things that we have to get fixed. We're going to have full-time practices. We're not cutting any time, even though we're in week 7. We just can't afford to. We have to get better on both sides of the ball. But the glaring deal, obviously, everybody knows, was our defensive side of the ball, and those are 3 areas that we really, really are going to have to concern ourselves with this week, and along with what we're doing schematically and different things and moving people and things of that nature.
Will there be anything with the way last year's game finished out? Will there be anything you'll use from that game as motivation for this one, whether revenge factor or just showing them the video of how it ended? Or anything?
Yeah, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on that, what to do with that. This is a lot of similar players on our team. A lot of guys have gone. I'm sure the same way with Auburn as well. I think our deal would be more right now, Trey, in my mind, is winning home ball games. We're off to a good start of winning here this year. We're undefeated in our stadium, and it's been several years since we've been undefeated in Razorback Stadium, and I think that's something that means something. Just because it means something to me doesn't necessarily it means it resonates with the kids, and and I believe going, headed one more game towards winning in our stadium and winning out in our stadium would be a big deal to our players. I think that might be a little bit more than the revenge factor because Auburn kids didn't really have anything to do with that. It was just a bad call.
So big picture, you're 1 2-point conversion away from being 5-1, tied for the top of the West. What are your thoughts on progress? Like where the program is halfway through this season, where you thought it might be?
There's a lot of pressure that comes with success. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure that comes with, losing too. I don't really want to get used to that part of the pressure, but there's a lot of pressure. And once you start out like we did, the fan base there, everybody, starts getting excited about, you can go beat the Green Bay Packers, and so with that becomes a lot of responsibility. I would much rather have it that way, being 4-2. I think is certainly not where we want to be, but we can't sit here and go, well, that's been a terrible season to this point. Certainly wish we would have been able to convert the 2-point play or stop them or, make a field goal or, not get a turnover, whatever it may be, and be 5-1. But I'm proud of our kids, the way they play. I'm proud of our coaching staff. We have to get better. I have to do a better job, and once I do that, it'll trickle down. But I'm proud of where we're sitting at this point, and I'd probably be lying to you if I told you anything else.
I haven't seen the replay yet, but there was a couple of balls that could have been picked off. I think late in the first half,
3 of them.
Early in the second half. Just those are the kind of things that could turn a game.
Well, you're absolutely right. We dropped one, and then the next play they kick a 50-yard field goal, and or something like we dropped one, and then shortly they ended up converting to 3 points. So, we practice that every day. The bottom line, we didn't try to high point the ball on any of them, and on catch, the one he's got a broken hand, so got a cast on there. That's a little hard for him. He probably would have made that. I believe he would have if he would have been able to, not have a cast on, but those things happen.
Thompson had himself a pretty interesting day on Saturday. I wonder what you've made of his growth and just how he's complimented Traylon at receiver.
Well, I think he's getting better all the time. He still has to continue to be a better blocker. He has to continue to learn the offense. But, I think if you look at the portal, I think we've had 5 guys come from the portal, and I believe 4 of them were starting, and Trent's been beat up. Gordon's been hurt, but he would be playing a lot of ball for us now if he wasn't. But, Coach has done a good job with him, and he's caught some really good big balls here in the last 3 or 4 games at least. And he's long, rangy, and fast, and he doesn't say a whole lot. He doesn't speak much, but doesn't talk a whole lot. But he's turned out to be a really good compliment. They're going to have to watch him as well instead of, just 1 or 2 of the other guys.
Just after working so much on a 4-man front in the spring and early, do you still feel you got the depth to play that if you need to?
I think we do. That's some things obviously Coach and I have talked about, and we certainly do. I mean, if you're sitting there rotating, which we are right now, 8 guys on the D line, sometimes 9. That 4 times 2 is 8. You certainly could do it, and I'm not going to sit here and say what we're going to do or what we're not going to do. But to answer your question, we have enough D linemen. We feel like that we could rotate in a 4-man line.
Also, does Nix present similar kind of dual threat problems that Corral did, or are they different styles?
I think he's incredible, Bo. I mean, he extends plays as good as anybody in the country. I mean, you can't get him on the ground. And, we're going to have to work a ton of scramble drill because he extends plays. And certainly he's fast. I just really like him and think he's a big time competitor. But yeah, I mean, those are things we're real concerned about him running the football as well.
Hey, Sam, how familiar are you with Brian Harsin? He was a little bit of an out-of-the-box SEC hire in that he didn't have SEC experience, but he's got two former head coaches as coordinators. You know, Bobo was an interim. What do you know about Brian Harsin, and maybe how does Auburn look different under him than in the past?
I mean, he obviously went in with Derek and with Mike, and I mean, he hired some really good coaches around him that knew the SEC. You know, I don't know the man well at all. I've heard a lot of positive things about him and his program and what he's done. I know his record as a head coach is incredible, really good record, and you know, Auburn wouldn't have hired him if he wasn't an exceptional coach. But I know the guys on his, you know, Will Friend, I know guys on his staff a little bit better than I know him.
Yeah, and having two I mean, obviously you got Barry here, so you kind of know what that's about. But how big do you think it is he's got Mason and Bobo?
I think for him it's the same thing that happened with me. I mean, he certainly was a head coach and a great one before, you know, Auburn hired him, which I wasn't. But I think just you know, you sit there and could you imagine sitting in their staff room and you've got two guys that's been in this league as, you know, or not, Bobo wasn't in this league, but he was a head coach and he was in the league forever, you know, at Georgia. And so I think that'd really be beneficial to him, and I think it'd go a long way in recruiting as well.
So how does Auburn want to run the ball? How do they move it? Do they have any similar schemes?
Yeah, well, I think they're a big inside zone team. I mean, they want to, and really they're hitting it straight downhill. You know, a lot of cutback on that inside zone, and basically they're letting, you know, Bigsby and Hunter and Shivers. They're letting them get their shoulders square and hit it. You know, they're hard to stop for less than 4 or 5 yards when they get to that point. They have a variation. You know, they run a little truck play where it's down, kick out, little toss. They do a lot of zone read with Nix. Let him be a runner as well. They have a lot of little inside fly sweeps. Not a huge get the ball outside team unless they're doing it with somebody other than the backs. You know. A lot of nakeds off of their zone scheme. So it looked to me a little bit very similarity to what we were doing maybe at Georgia when I was there those 4 years. I know Coach Bobo came. You know, him and Kirby are really good friends, and he came to practices and things of that nature. And what a really great man he is. He's a great guy. But some of those things. Third down package looks pretty similar to what we were doing at Georgia. You know, a lot of quick tosses outside, you know, trying to get the end to bite and just outrun him for the first down, some things of that nature.
You mentioned Catalon's hands. Is he going to be in a cast all year? And then also, Gordon, do you expect him to get back and help you all this year?
Yeah, and I'm not for sure. Let's go with Gordon first. I think Gordon, I feel like I'm hoping that there's a possibility he can get back this week. You know, he was better last week. We didn't travel him because, you know, we don't travel guys that we don't think have an opportunity to play. And then on Cat, I think there will always be some type of protection there throughout this year with his hand.
And then Dalton Wagner, I guess he traveled but didn't play. Do you have a status update on him?
Well, Dalton's got a finger, and the bottom line is that it went out on him, and they couldn't get it back in place. He had surgery on that finger this morning. And so, you know, his status is not going to be available for a while.
As far as last week, because when you let it be known about Crawford and St. John, just how you feel that Limmer and Latham kind of responded to the challenge last week?
I thought they played well. You know, I think a lot of times you think you're going to lose your job. You go back to playing how you earned that job. And I think they did. I thought they had a good game. I was really proud of Ty Clary, you know, out at tackle. He played the entire game out there at right tackle. I still think that – I tell you what we found out a little bit last week was about Jones. You know, I think Jones can be another tackle for us. You know, we moved him out to left tackle. I believe we're going to look at him a little bit as a swing guy. He's very athletic and long enough. And I want to leave those two big kids inside. I just didn't think they were quite ready for game action last week. And, you know, we were moving the ball pretty well, and it's not really time, you know, to change that around if going into the game you hadn't seen enough where they can, you know, consistently help you move the football. But I think that's what we're going to do is keep them inside. And part of that's because I think, you know, we need big presence in there. And the other thing is I think Luke Jones, I thought he looked really good last week at tackle.
Do you recall the instance where Catalan broke his hand?
I don't. It was in. I don't remember the exact play, but it was A&M, I believe. Yeah.
This has been an interesting stretch. You've got, not get you looking ahead or anything, but the next week is an 11 o'clock. That's what, four straight 11 o'clock games? Is that right? And then only one game in your on-campus stadium over 4 games. Have you ever been a part of a stretch like that before?
No. You know, I don't think I've ever been a part of as many 11 a.m. games in a row, you know, at all, and let alone you know, on the road that many times, you know. But I'm grateful for 11 a.m. games. They're a lot better, you know, when you win because, you know, you can go home and look at everybody else and say, man, that guy, why did he make that call? Why did he do that, you know, and have a good time. But when you lose, it's not even fun. You know, you go home and you think over and over and over about how you can, you know, a man who corrects himself looks at himself, you know, I know we didn't play well defensively, and I get all that. I got to look at me first. What am I doing to help them? Am I giving input? Am I looking at enough film to find a flaw over here, things that can help, you know, because of my offensive background, looking at their offense to help our defense. But I'm going to do better. I can help, and I need to.
Coach, Dominic Johnson's physicality kind of popped out several times.
Who?
Dominic Johnson,
Yeah.
his physicality on Saturday. I'm curious, has he been like that since he got here, or is that maybe just kind of the edge that's carried over since he got back to your backfield?
No, I think he's been that, you know, near leg, near shoulder guy like he did, you know, on the sweep play the other day. He is our best pass protector. You know, he likes it. You know, a guy that, you know, it's like, you know, I had 3 sisters and they were playing 6-on-6 basketball and they were guards and they never got to shoot, you know. I guess they just like to guard. You know, it's kind of like a running back. I don't think you're really a good blocking running back unless you just really want to do it, you know. I mean, everybody wants to carry it, you know. So he really likes to block. And I know he likes to run the ball. Man, that first run he made the other day was really an exceptional physical 8-yard run, you know. But he really enjoys the physicality of the game. And I just been really happy with him. Again, I think we've got to continue to get him more carries. I think he'll help us that way. But we've got so many guys that, you know, it's hard to pick and choose. You know, Rocket certainly played well, you know, besides the one turnover. But they're all becoming a little bit better players, I think.
What was y'all's evaluation of KJ? I mean, was that one of the better quarterback performances?
It wasn't bad, was it? I taught him. I didn't think he'd ever use it, but I taught him that where he launched from the 5 and scored. I didn't think he'd ever use it, but I was proud to. He came over and thanked me for teaching him that. I don't know. It wasn't any competitive, and made some really nice throws. The one he threw at the end of the game, I thought it was an overthrow, and then we just went up and got it, But he's tough. I mean, he took some hits, and he just coming into a well-rounded guy, and, you have him 2.5 more years, and I think that really bodes well for the University of Arkansas. But I know one thing. I know the fans believe in him, and I do, but our team really believes in the guy. And he doesn't say a whole lot, but he's one of the most popular guys in there because of how he handles his business and what he'll do on the football field. Can you imagine where he started this year and then where he's at right now? It's really incredible, and he'll get better too because he's a hard worker.
Saturday night, you said that you thought the pitch to Dominic might have been there. KJ thought it was muddy. What's the breakdown of the 2-point?
Well, the end came inside, and so KJ thought that he could get outside on it, and then the secondary contain came up on him. We didn't have the little dart in the flat, and in all honesty, I don't know. He came off of that pretty fast. I don't know if he saw, because Myron had lost his seal hinge on the backside, so that guy's coming underneath too. I don't know what all he saw that fast, but I think then at one point he decided, I'm going to run it, and then here comes secondary contain, and then I think, to be honest with you, I think he looked for Traylon and figured Traylon might can go get it, and it just was a little hot, and there was a lot of, everybody was covered, and the play had, in practice, the shovel was there, and then we came around, the dart was there, the little flat was there, those 2 different times that we ran it at practice, it just wasn't there that day.
Sam, Ty started 30-plus games on the line, but I think that was his first start ever at tackle. I know he'd played some there earlier, but how'd you think he played, and how good do you feel about him, I guess, being the guy for a while if Dalton's going to be out for a while?
Yeah, I thought they all played pretty good, I think Cody's biggest challenge this week is trying to find out what he's going to do with his personnel, whether, Brady moves out there some as well. You have to have a back out. Is Tykees the guy? I really don't want Tykees to be back out there because I'm trying to develop those 2 big guards inside, so – but I thought Ty did a really good job the entire day, did a nice job in pass protection. I think Bo came over and helped him quite a little bit too. They were 3-man rush, so you basically, with Ricky, the way Ricky was playing, you basically could double team both edges, and that's what we elected to do is once Ricky was secure in there. But I think, for the first game, and Ty's a veteran, like you said, he started a lot of games, and going into the game, I wasn't one bit concerned about. I wasn't about right tackle because Clary, he's obviously been practicing it during the week for several weeks because of Wag's hand, and we out of any good on good. So the good on good reps Ty was getting.
And I think you guys are a slight favorite in this game. I think it's the first time since you got here. You've been an SEC favorite.
No, I know it is.
Of course, Texas is kind of a quasi-SEC team, Power 5. So it's the first time.
We weren't favored there either, Bob.
Yeah, it's the first time you've been favored against a Power 5 team. Just how does that feel? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it has any outcome on the game or not, but I'd rather be favored than 22-point underdogs. I don't know what it means, to be honest with you, but we are favored against Auburn, so we've come a little ways, so we'll find out. That obviously, if that was the case, we'd be going in this game, we'd be 2-14, but you still got to play the game. But so I don't really know how to answer the question.
You talked about the physicality of the running backs. What are they doing outside of practice from a strength and conditioning perspective to get better? And the second part of that, how has Rocket progressed through this season, especially for being so young?
I think, well, we still lift two times a week for strength. It's not just to maintain for strength. If you're not a traveler, you're going to lift 3 times a week. But I think Rocket, really, to be honest with you, I think he really he got some confidence in the first 2 scrimmages, I think. And you see him, I feel like he's just getting better, each game. And what he's doing, Jimmy's done a really good job in individual with next hole, because zone's about where's my read, is it there, yes, hit it. Is it not, hit the next one back, not there, hit the next one back, wherever it may be. It's really simple, but it's hard to get in a young running back unless you rep it all the time. And it'll just be next hole, next hole. You guys have seen that drill out there with Jim. And now in the SEC, the hole's open and then it closes in a hurry. And I just keep talking to those young guys about, hey, man, if it's there, hit it. And that's what he's doing now. There's not a hesitation. And if he misses one, we don't go, well, you should have done this. We say, okay, was that the next opening? No. Okay, well, just be patient and hit the next one. And there's a lot of difference between him and AJ, but AJ, I still think he's behind Rocket because of the scrimmages. He just never got that. His first experience came in a game, and Rocket had those scrimmages to help him, and AJ also lost about 10 to 12 days there with his concussion. So I'm really proud of Rocket, and he's going to be a really good player. He's a good player now, going to be a really good player for us.
Coach, it seemed like Ole Miss's defensive line had quite a few injuries during the game that kind of slowed things down. I think
they came back, though.
Yeah.
They're healthy enough to get back in there.
I think based on what I was reading, you could maybe submit some of those to the NCAA. I'm wondering if you've done that, or do you have any ideas?
No, you can't. No. The rule has to change. I mean, right now there's no penalty. And I'm not saying the guys weren't hurt. I mean, they may have been hurt. I'm not a medical doctor, so, but a lot of them, cramped up or whatever happened to them. And no, I think the rules committee's got to look at that. They wait every 2 years to do it, and I think I'm on the board of trustees too. I think really have to look at that. That's the first time that many injuries had happened in a game this year, and last year it happened to us a few times. But we've got to, we'll address that. And I'm not saying they were hurt or weren't hurt or whatever. Just there are a whole bunch of them.